Hello, this is Dodie from Deliberate Aging. Welcome to my podcast. Today, I'm joined by Barb Kane, a woman who's well known in the New Jersey fitness community. I met Barb at the YMCA in Mountain Lakes, New Jersey, where she is one of the most popular fitness instructors. And I quickly learned that you need to get to her classes early because they fill up quickly. She's an inspirational instructor. She loves her cats, and she's a native New Yorker, as am I. She's originally from Buffalo, and she also has a close connection with Syracuse, which is my alma mater, and also where her son attended school. So, Barb, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dodie. I'm so happy to have this opportunity to speak with you.
Great. Well, it's so nice to have you here. So, Barb, let's get started by why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and include your age if you're comfortable divulging that information.
Absolutely. I just turned 63. So, I'm totally okay with all of that. A little bit about me. I mean, you covered the big ones, that I'm from Buffalo, that I love my cats. I got involved in fitness when I was probably 15 or 16. I started dancing. And, that it kind of all spiraled from there. So, I did dance, I did Pilates, and then when I had to start like having a real job for a living, I joined a gym because I knew I wasn't going to be able to get to 8 hours of dance class anymore. And kind of the rest is history from there. I love New Jersey now. I love my neighborhood. I've got a beautiful, close-knit community. Just all great things. Yeah. Anything else that you want to know?
Well, so how many fitness classes do you teach every week?
Well, since COVID, I spiraled to at-home workouts. So I very rarely leave the house to teach. I teach at home through Zoom. So I call it a 15-second commute with my cat. She comes down with me. And so really that's the bulk of it. I do a couple corporate things also online. And I teach at the Y still, but I only do Pilates reformers, which is a great way to really work your body and your core and be gentle on your joints at the same time.
Okay, that must be new because they didn't have the reformer there when I was a member.
We just got them. It's phenomenal.
Yeah. Nice. Okay, so you're working your body to teach these classes every week. So what do you do to keep yourself in top condition so that you have the energy and the strength and whatever to teach all these classes? I mean, do you exercise on your own outside of all these classes? What do you eat? What do you do for stress management? All that kind of stuff. What's your key to longevity?
I mean, I definitely do my own workouts for sure. I do love to walk. I love I got a Peloton like a lot of people did throughout the pandemic. Before then, I never really liked spinning, but I definitely have a new respect for being on the bike. I do a lot of mobility training for myself, which is different than just stretching or yoga. So all of those things really will help not only my energy level, but my recovery. Really a large proponent on making sure that I get sleep. All right. So sleep is our number one mechanism that's when our body does its healing, when it does its recovery. And totally am convinced that nutrition, it's obviously, there's, what's the saying, where great abs are made in the kitchen, not in the gym. So everything goes back to how we feed and and honor our body with what we put in it.
Do you do follow any specific nutrition plan, like are you keto or vegetarian or any of those type of things?
Well, I found out almost 20 years ago that I have celiac disease. So I am 100% gluten free. I mean, in my house, there's never been, and not even in any of the pans, has there been flour or anything like that. So it's very, very strict as far as I follow that, which makes it, of course, hard to go out somewhere, get some, get something takeout or whatever. But so yes, I'm very, very strict with that. I tend to go more plant based than a lot of, like meat protein or I'm not really a fan of things that to me sound very extreme, like keto diets, like, oh, go ahead, have all the fat you want, have all of this. No, like our body craves balance in everything we do. So, we need to stay hydrated. Um, we need, oh, that was my kitty. We need to, balance what we put in our body, our cells and even our brain, our organs, everything needs different nutrients to accomplish what it needs to accomplish. So it's important for us to have a balanced, variety of, making sure we get different kinds of fruits and vegetables and letting that be the start of what we eat and then filling in with all the other things, including, some sweet or salty snacks, whatever, we crave.
Okay. So I know that recently at the YMCA, there was a program called The Art of Healthy Living. And you
Mhm.
spearheaded the nutrition part of that, where you designed individual nutrition plans for each participant. So, how do you actually tailor an individual nutrition plan to an individual person?
Well, it isn't so much that, because the registered dietitian really needs to do that, like telling somebody exactly what to eat. But what I do is I run macros programs. So macros are macronutrients, and the thought being that if our body gets the proper ratios of macronutrients, the micronutrients take care of themselves, and we find the again the balance of what and how we need to eat for our own activity level, maybe chronic disease, like nothing that I do heals any chronic disease, but there are certain health issues that deplete nutrients out of your body. So, we become aware of that. And those are all things that I can put into this macros program that I do. And then the computer kind of jiggles it around and figures out the proportions for each person.
Interesting. That's
Yeah.
something that I keep seeing on social media is how we are typically protein deficient.
Yeah, yes, especially once we reach a certain age, we need this increased level of protein in order to continue to build muscle. Once I think it's somewhere around 40 where it becomes harder and harder as we age to keep our muscle mass up.
Hmm. So you mentioned you eat mostly plant based. So how would you fulfill that protein requirement?
I have a lot of black beans, garbanzo beans, things like that. I do have eggs rather than, like red meat, pork. Those are all kind of out for me.
Hmm.
It's certainly, if that's what somebody wants, you want to not have that be the bulk of your diet. We always want to start with all of the vegetables and fruits and some really healthy grains and healthy fats too, like avocados and nuts and nut butters are really beneficial.
Okay. So I know personally, I noticed that as I get older, what I'm able to eat changes. Like I used to absolutely love very spicy jalapeno peppers, whatever, and now my body just doesn't seem to be able to tolerate it quite as well. So have
Right.
you noticed any changes like that personally?
I definitely notice that so much of what I do, I definitely can't eat the amounts that I used to. And still, even though I'm still fairly active, I can't eat the copious amounts of food that I used to even just 10 years ago.
Yeah, I've noticed that too, that I feel like I just don't need as many calories or as much food, and I'm okay with smaller portions.
Right.
Hmm.
Yes, exactly.
Hmm.
And I do find too where I used to be able to eat let's say I would eat sugar and I wouldn't even like feel a difference. Now I do notice if I pay attention after I've had something that has sugar in it, that I don't feel quite right. I might be, almost hyper at one point, and then, you get that dip of after the sugar rush. And, so it kind of loses that stability of feeling good.
So
When
why does that happen? Is it because our bodies are reacting to it differently than they did, say, 20 years ago, or are we just more mindful of the changes?
I would say probably a little bit of both, but definitely, we've come to this certain awareness of ourselves that becomes uh, that it becomes, just like a second nature to want to take care of yourself more all of a sudden.
Hmm.
And so you become aware of, hey, I didn't used to notice this before, but now I notice that I'm just not feeling quite so good when I eat this. Where when I was younger, I'd just be like, oh, whatever,
Hmm.
you
Yeah.
know, I'll go walk it off or whatever it is. And, we can't do that. We can't outrun or outwork a diet that's not giving us what we need.
Hmm. So it sounds like you're 63, you're still working. What do you do for fun in addition to your job?
I like to read and I like to garden.
Hmm, okay.
I'm very exciting.
Hey, sounds like fun to me. I like those things too. Okay, so you mentioned something that you said was key, and that is sleep. So how do you make sure that your sleep is like top notch and really is refreshing and replenishing for you?
I think the big thing is that they call it sleep hygiene. So it's basically a nighttime routine of, like I shower, I kind of wind down. I have a Calm, which is a magnesium calcium supplement. It's a warm drink. And that's kind of like the mental and physical, because magnesium does help us sleep better. Check with your doctor first,
Hmm.
but it does help us, sleep better. It helps our muscles recover. It helps and aids our digestion so that, in the morning, if you are constipated or have that type of issue, it helps all of that. Um, I don't drink a lot of water or fluids or whatever, say after 6:30 or 7 at night, so that I don't feel like I need to get up and use the bathroom, and all of those things let me sleep deeper and longer.
Hmm. So what would you say is your life's purpose then?
I think my big thing right now is that when I was back in high school, we were very ahead of the curve in Amherst, New York, about studying the environment and the effects of climate change and what was going to happen. And all of what they said to us 40 years ago is all exactly what we see now. And so I think, very motivated in my personal life to kind of reduce the impact and the footprint that I leave behind. And I guess that's why I kind of want to encourage, our government, our local and, state and federal people to kind of wake up.
So personally, how are you trying to reduce your carbon footprint or whatever we call it?
Well, I'm very, from the basics, from recycling, turning the water off when I brush my teeth. I am a member of the National Wildlife Society and the Audubon. As far as my yard is considered a wildlife habitat, from what I plant, that I don't use fertilizer. I'm transitioning over to clover instead of grass in my yard. So I would never fertilize grass anyway or water it.
Oh, that's really
Because
interesting. Okay, so
it's going to grow out of a crack in my driveway. It can fend for itself in my yard.
so you're a bit of an activist then, working towards a better environment.
Correct.
Yeah, interesting. Okay. Okay. Yeah, one thing that I find is that when our mothers were, say 40, we thought they were just elderly and senior citizens at that point. But now a 40-year-old still is very active and out there, and it's not end of life by any means. It's here we are. Well, yeah, I know, barring any unforeseen circumstances, but there's so much left to do. And so one of the key points that I'm really interested in these days is brain health. What do you think about that?
Oh, I think it's so important for us to, again, this goes back to nutrition and, how we feed our body helps our brain. You did see, I'm sure, since you brought that up, the cases, I think it was just a couple days ago, where they came out and said that by 2050, that there'd be some incredible amount more of dementia cases.
Mm.
Did you see that study?
I did. Yes, it's frightening.
Yeah. So I do think so much of that does go back to the environment and what is allowed to go into our soil is fertilizer, which goes into everything that we eat, for sure. That what we put, and actually you're one of the first people that taught me this when I said something like, oh, I was going to put Vaseline on my feet at night, and you're like, oh, I would never do that.
Did I say that? How many years ago?
You did. You're like, that's petroleum. And I was like, oh my God, she's right.
Yeah, that would definitely be something I'd say.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess it's just for my, sparking the awareness in myself and helping other people be aware of how it affects them as well.
Mm. Yeah.
To use more natural things like, yeah.
Yeah. So there is a lot that we can do to stay healthy, both for ourselves and for the planet, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
And usually what we do if we really do it, what we do to make ourselves healthy will also be a benefit to the planet.
Yes. Yeah. So you mentioned you're a gardener. So what does your garden look like?
Mostly it's all kind of wild.
Okay.
If something plants itself somewhere, I kind of let it be. There's a lot of, I have, butterfly weed, where I was like so happy this year that I had monarch caterpillars and monarch butterflies, which, was so beautiful to see. Hummingbirds, but it's all very native, things that are native to New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
And, that will attract wildlife from around here.
Because one of the things that I'm researching lately is the habits of people who live healthy lives to a longer age. And gardening seems to be one of those habits, hobbies, whatever you want to call it, that these people all are doing. And a lot of them, okay, you're doing, it sounds like mostly flowers and whatever.
I don't have enough sun to do any vegetables.
Oh, got it. Okay, but a lot of them, like I was going to say, the vegetable gardening, and then they're eating what they're harvesting. And it seems to be that we don't not to diss your chosen career, but we don't actually have to take a fitness class to get exercise. We can go out in our own garden, right?
Our garden, our neighborhood outside is the best way to be.
Yeah, yeah.
100%.
Absolutely.
And I don't feel dissed at all.
Good. Wonderful. Okay. So finally, we've talked about a number of different things here. What is your most important advice to anybody listening on how to stay healthy as they age?
Well, definitely to make sure that you keep moving, that you find something that brings you joy, every day. And it doesn't need to be, anything. And again, for me, my cat, for sure. My cats, my house, and taking care of my house and my garden make me feel good. That there needs to be just something little every day that makes you happy. And sometimes you have to look for it, and it's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's good. Wonderful. I think we can all do that. So I will be adding all of your contact information in the show notes, but for anybody listening right now, if they want to get in touch with you, how can they do that? And say they want to know all of your list of current classes. How can they find out that information?
I do one little Facebook post a week that's on Facebook and Instagram, and that's really kind of about it. I'm the worst at kind of self-promotion or anything like that. So that would kind of be about it.
Okay, so follow you basically on Facebook and look for that post to see the schedule.
Yeah, every Saturday I usually put it up.
Okay. Or just join the Lakeland Hills YMCA in Mountain Lakes and you're there.
Come do some amazing Pilates reformer. How blessed are we?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. And I hope that, we can invite you back another time and we'll talk again.
Oh, that would be amazing. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks a lot, Barb.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. This is Dodie from Deliberate Aging. Until next time, be well, friends. This podcast is presented solely for informational and educational purposes only. Use of information from this podcast is at the user's own risk. It is not intended as a substitute for the advice of your physician or other qualified professional. We are not responsible for any losses, damages, or liabilities that may arise from use of this podcast.